research is showing more women are having kids in their 40s than their 20s. So it's time for us to flip the narrative. One, it's not just about you, it's about the partner as well. And I want you to feel empowered with the fact that it's not just about your age. The system led us to believe that.
Hey ladies, welcome to the Calm Edge podcast. I'm your host, Brooke. Does it feel like your brain is stuck in overdrive, spiraling, scanning, second guessing, and keeping you up at night? The Calm Edge is what happens when you stop letting that voice run the show and start leading your life from grounded power. I'm a hypnotherapist, and I help women just like you rewire the subconscious patterns behind overthinking and self-doubt so you can feel calm, confident, and actually enjoy your life again. Today's guest, Vida Delrahim, spent over 2 decades leading brand marketing at Nike, bringing powerful stories of strength and empowerment to life on a global scale. But it was her own personal experience with loss that shifted her path, leading her to rethink how we approach fertility and reproductive health. She's now the co-founder of WeNatal, a supplement brand helping redefine the conversation from me to we. Vida, welcome to the Calm Edge podcast.
Thanks for having me, Brooke. I'm so excited to be here.
You and Ronit, the co-founder of WeNatal, were initially coworkers at Nike. Can you just tell us how we went from being coworkers, working at Nike, to launching your own brand?
Yeah, we met close to 20 years ago and we were young, single ladies trying to build our corporate careers. We were going through the LA dating scene, which can be saved for another podcast.
Yeah.
Literally could take more than an hour. And we just became best friends. We were going through all the fun life challenges together. And we kind of always joked that we one day wanted to work together, but we always assumed it would be in marketing or business because that's where our backgrounds came from. And we never really imagined what would come out of the heartbreak of our own pregnancy losses. But how it turned out, you kind of mentioned in my bio, about 8 years ago, I was running global running events for Nike with impeccable precision. I'm talking about every detail that goes into these events to make athletes from good to great. And we know now that shaving off a second off of their apparel or their footwear or every marketing experience could be the difference of gold or silver. And so it was quite ironic that I knew what prep it took to make athletes great. But yet when it was time for me and my husband to start trying, we're just we're young, we're healthy, we should just try.
Yeah.
No prep, just treated it like a casual jog and off we went. And I went in for a routine 14-week checkup. I was past the first trimester. And I saw my OBGYN's face drop. The room went silent. And it was one of the most traumatic experiences of my life. He just looked at me and said, "I'm so sorry, there's no heartbeat." Words that no soon to be parent ever wants to hear. And gushed out into tears and started asking all the questions, to which he kind of just said, "It just happens. It's very common." Gave me a brochure, basically told me to try when start trying again when I'm ready. And I was ushered back through this waiting room of glowing bellies, crying so much my jaw ached, and literally started to go through every single thing I did. Was it too much coffee, the stress at work? Was it my soul cycle class? Was it that wellness routine? I mean, you literally start analyzing. And for me, it was very personal. I just figured it was something I did to cause this. After really sad, little bit of, going through the spiral, my best friend, thank goodness for Ronit, because she just delivered her first baby. And that was also really hard. I was so excited for her, but also so sad. And there was a whole juxt in my life where I saw myself having kids together and being on maternity leave together and parent me classes. And that was all shattered. But she had left Nike and she was working for Dr. Mark Hyman, who's a very amazing practitioner in the functional medicine space. And she got this foundation of there's more to the story. You got it, there's root causes to things. And while there's no guarantees in life, she really believed that there was more to this story. She encouraged me to go check my thyroid and a bunch of other things. I found out I had Hashimoto's. And that was the first big aha for me because they checked my labs. Things can come out quote unquote normal, but they're not optimal, and especially not if you're having kids. So that was my first peek into like it is important for us to be our own advocates. Like you, I knew I wasn't operating like my usual self. I was in a corporate career, the grind, I was working 24/7. I did love what I did, but it wasn't serving my overall wellness. So
Yeah.
she kind of guided me in this world of functional medicine. I went on to like change my diet, my lifestyle. I went on, thyroid medication, and I was able to have my healthy baby girl Dahlia 8 years ago. And
Yeah.
I thought the nightmare was over. I was like, okay, we figured out our prenatal care routine. She told me what supplements to take. And then fast forward to 2020, we were trying, unbeknownst to each other, for our seconds around the same time. And I went in for another routine checkup to get that same deafening silence. And I had another miscarriage
Mm.
and was told the same thing, sorry, it just happened. Dismissed. And I went on with my day, but this time I had a toddler to take care of. So there was no
Yeah.
dwindling about this. The only thing that stopped us dead in our tracks was that Ronit called me literally a week later, and the same exact thing happened to her. And what was
Oh,
shocking more is that she was working in functional medicine. She was doing everything right. And there we were, like two best friends, two pregnancy losses, and zero satisfying answers. And that's what became the beginning of the end. Ronit went deep into the research. And I remember the day she called me, and I remember where I was. And she's like, Vida, did you know men are 50% of pregnancy loss? Men are 50% of pregnancy health, the lifelong health. And I literally, Brooke, it's as if you told me pigs are flying somewhere. My jaw dropped because it's so intuitive. It's so basic that yes, we
yeah.
know it takes two to make a baby. But how could it be that I've had multiple losses? My husband's been in the room every single time. No one even asked him a single question. Meanwhile, I was literally analyzing the shampoo I was using to see if it was too toxic, and that's what caused
Right.
my miscarriage.
Yeah.
And so that
The
was
weight of that, by the way, it's like I feel that so much. Like we carry all of it.
correct. And that's what needs to stop. That's why
Yeah.
WeNatal was born. And so Ronit found the evidence that men on these high dose certain antioxidants could 4 to 5 times improve the likelihood of not only just a healthy pregnancy, but a healthy child and their lifelong health. And so
Wow.
when we found this out, there was zero men's prenatals on the market. We literally met at a local Whole Foods. We created a document, a Google Doc called Bestico. And the mission was simple. It was prenatal care for her and him. It's like giving the best possible supplements, but also guidance, also lifestyle tips, all the things that we weren't given. We were told take a prenatal, they're all the same. That couldn't be farther from the truth. And so in our own fertility struggles, we learned so many myths. We were just told we were stuck with the eggs that we have, that the men could do whatever they wanted, which
Yeah.
literally my OBGYN told my husband he could do whatever he wanted.
Um,
And so there became so much research, and we assembled an amazing medical board with Dr. Mark Hyman and Kelly Levesque and people we really respected in the medicine space. And we went to work on the best possible prenatal for her and him. And because we didn't know the supplements are really the Wild West, there's no FDA regulation. We wanted to sought out to make not only ones in the best ingredients and the best dosages, but also ones that are third party tested to ensure there's no heavy metals, there's no toxic. And so the WeNatal was born to put the we back into we're trying, we're pregnant, we are having a baby. Well, we found very little we in our process. And in fact, we held, as the women, we held all the weight ourselves. And so our
mm.
whole mission is to empower couples on their journeys to becoming parents and arm them with the tools of nutrition, diet, supplementation, you know, lifestyle benefits. And that's exactly why WeNatal was born.
I mean, it's really interesting because I think back to even my husband, when I go back to when we first met, he was not like, he wasn't taking any supplements, no multivitamins, no nothing, right? I did gradually kind of get him on that train, but it's funny, the first time I had him try WeNatal, he was like, I mean, within a day or two, he was like, I feel better. I physically feel better.
So that's like the biggest learning we had. First of all, people like to check the boxes for fertility. It's overall health that we're talking about. If you're fertile, you're also healthy, and vice versa. And so for our men, I mean, me and my husband are definitely not trying. My husband has experienced more mental focus, more energy, hair growth, libido, like all the
Yeah.
things. And it's all biomarkers of your overall health. And I love that you say that because we get customers who write in all the time and men who, after their partners are pregnant, stay on it because they feel great. And that's something else we should know, that our food system is not what it once was. It used to be like in our grandparents' generation that we can get everything we need from food by eating the rainbow, by eating healthy and clean. My own mother was like, I don't get why we need to take supplements. And what you
Yeah.
quickly learn is that our soils are depleted of all the nutrients. If I want to get the same nutrients as my grandparents eating one orange, today I would have to eat 8 oranges to be equivalent. So you
Wow.
realize even someone like a Kelly Levesque, who's maybe her full-time job to eat healthy, and you can't get it alone from food alone. And
Yeah.
she takes WeNatal and she took it for all her pregnancies. And so there is big education that needs to happen around no matter what stage of your life you're in. You should be on a very high quality multi to ensure that insurance policy of overall health.
And so I guess your point with WeNatal, it's not just prenatal and postnatal. It's something you can essentially, I mean, I plan on taking it forever. That's okay, right? Like there's nothing in
I
it that you
am.
can only use around
No.
pregnancy and right.
No, it is an amazing multi for him and for her. And we highly recommend it. In fact, most of our customers are like you. They just love it and feel great. And postpartum, also, we were talking about this a little bit before, Brooke. Postpartum could last 5 to 7 years from some scientists and researchers. And so sometimes as moms, we just have the baby and stop taking our supplements, but we're now sleep deprived, taking care of another human. We might be breastfeeding, we might be back to work. It is now more important than ever that we're nourishing ourselves with good food and supplementation. And like we were just talking about, sometimes the effects of postpartum last for years. And I know I
Yeah.
started to feel like myself again after my little one turned 4 to 5.
I think it's so important for women to talk about just how long the postpartum fog can, after my son was born, you look around 3 months, 6 months, you see moms, everyone's, grinding, they're back to work. I'm like,
Totally.
how are these women doing it? I feel like I'm, you know, underwater right now,
100%.
essentially. And so talking about how that impacts, I think, all of us, but it's not really spoken about. So, Vida, you and I met through We Shine Well, which is an
Yes.
incredible women's group for female entrepreneurs. And I remember at the last event, I said that this was a year ago, and I was like, I'm 9 months postpartum. And somebody even commented, they're like, I should start saying, like, I'm 11 years postpartum with my 11-year-old. We should all start talking about it because it's almost like it never, I mean, you never fully go back to the person that you were before, but even just to honor that, like, we should all honor that it's a process. And
100% agree.
right. Okay, there was something you mentioned in there about all of the different products on the market. It is so overwhelming, Vida, to even know what do I need in a prenatal. So what is it about WeNatal and your formula that is so unique? What is it about your formula that really sets it apart and that women need to know when they're looking for a prenatal?
It's a great question. So there's the two, what's in it and what's not in it, almost equally important. I'll start with just because we mentioned third-party testing. No matter what you guys take, please ensure it's third-party tested. All that validates is one, the claims of the label, that what you're actually seeing is what you're getting, but also ensures that there isn't heavy metals, toxins, mold, you name it. There's so much that could happen during transit, during the manufacturing process. And so third-party testing, I'd say, is number one on the importance list. Second of all, there is sometimes a whole paragraph underneath your supplement facts that will say other ingredients. And if you look on the market, there's ones with additives, fillers, colors, dyes, things you can't pronounce. That shouldn't be there. If you look at WeNatal, it's just basically a veggie capsule. That's it. And so one is ensuring that the garbage is not in it. Then what we sought out to do with WeNatal, we actually sought out to make amends prenatal first because we're like, no one's talking about this. There's clear evidence about CoQ10, NAC, alpha lipoic acid, some of these high dose vitamin A, B, C, that can dramatically improve men's health, men's sperm health, and men's overall health. So we were undergoing the research. And by the way, if anyone likes to geek out, our website has every single ingredient, every single dosage, and the research behind why this many milligrams of vitamin A and why this many. So you can totally geek out.
Awesome.
I'll tell you from a high level, we started off with the men's because we actually didn't believe the world needed another prenatal. There's probably thousands on the market. Once we formulated the men's and pulled back the cover on the women's, we realized there's pretty much two camps. There's like really expensive ones that Some of them are better quality and decent formulas. Hard to find doctor's offices, maybe 8 to 10 capsules a day, which not a lot of us could stomach. And then there was the very accessible ones that maybe are at a convenience store, drugstore, and the dosages are too low to make a difference. There's that paragraph of additives and fillers, and the ingredients are not in the right form. So even if you see 100 milligrams of vitamin A, if it's not in the right bioavailable form, you cannot absorb it, and not everyone can. So a
Right.
lot of us have MTHFR, about 50% of the population. You cannot absorb your B vitamins as folic acid. You need methylated folate. And so the big differentiators are that WeNatal for her has 24 bioavailable ingredients, which means they're in their best forms. There's clinical research behind every dose. And some of the most important ingredients, like choline, some prenatals are leaving out. Choline is crucial for baby brain health, for mom's health. We have 400 milligrams of choline, which is crucial. Um, and then we have, all the vitamin spectrums. There is literally all of the ingredients in 3 capsules a day. And that took us seeking so many manufacturers
I
who
was going to ask you,
only
how did
want,
you do that?
because basically what we learned in this process, it's very interesting when you get into the manufacturing side. Most of them want to use additives and fillers because it's cheaper to produce. It makes it easier. You can do big batches, meaning the machinery can go and doesn't get stuck. When you do these non-excipients, it's a little harder. You have to do small batches. Your expiration date is very little compared to, some that could probably sit on the shelf for 10 plus years because all that additives and fillers makes it shelf stable. We weren't willing to compromise. And so we had to vet well, not millions,
Yeah,
but a lot of
a lot.
manufacturers till we found one that was willing to work with us and make the nutrient density of 8 capsules into 3 per day. And
Wow.
that's because we have no fillers, we make in small batches, and our expiration date is only 2 years. Some supplements are way longer.
It's interesting though, because that simple shift, 8 capsules to 3, makes
Yes,
all of the difference. I mean, the prenatal that I was taking before I met you was an 8 capsule a day, and it burns you out because I'm also taking a bunch of other things,
exactly.
postpartum. So
Well,
it's,
and that's what was our story. So Ronit and I, there we were. She can pop as many pills as necessary. She came from the functional medicine space.
yeah,
She could literally chug them. Here I was. She had me on this protocol before we natal, like you, Brooke. She had 8, and then she was adding iron. She was adding more choline. Then she added folate. And she had me, I don't know, on 12 or 15. I was nursing 1 or 2 per meal. I couldn't get through it all. So a
yeah,
supplements is only as good as the routine you can make and the consistency in the routine. To have effect, you need to stay on it for many months to build those nutrient reserves and really support your body. And so what
right.
we're realizing is that to take this to market, it wouldn't serve us to just make another 10 or 12 capsule a day situation. That doesn't help anyone.
No, it's also interesting. I was listening to an interview that you and Ronit did on Kelly LeVeque's podcast,
Yes,
and you talked about how, was it like a year or two after you launched the brand, the research
yes,
changed,
yes.
and you all decided that you are committed to being in alignment with research. So you changed the formulation, you had to change all of the labels, all of the marketing, everything to go along with it. And that, it's kind of a painful decision, but that's a value of the company. So I
Correct.
guess my question for you is, as an entrepreneur, kind of shifting a little bit into your entrepreneur's cap, how do you know when to make a decision to pivot like that?
Yeah.
When is it time to pivot versus like when is it time to double down on something you've committed to?
I have 2 really good examples for this. One where we didn't pivot when we should have, and one where we did. So let's start with this one, which you mentioned. We were actually it was about 6 to 8 months where this research came out. Our medical board got a meta analysis of hundreds of studies that analyze optimal dosages for fertility, pregnancy, and postpartum. Our prenatal was launched. We're a small, tiny startup. It was already, in my opinion, best in class when it launched. Like the formula
Yeah.
was far superior. Like I mentioned, we had superior choline, vitamin D. We had all the key nutrients in their forms. We said from day one that we are going to lead with innovation, and science is always evolving and we can't just ignore this. Now, from the entrepreneur side, it was the biggest nightmare you can imagine. We literally, everything's made. We've had that, you have minimums with manufacturers. So you have
Mm.
thousands of these beautiful supplement pouches. It's already a good formula. So what that meant is, okay, we committed. We got our medical board reassembled and we went back and forth. It's also a game of Tetris of what can fit into 3 capsules. And some of
Ah,
the leading prenatals on the market have maybe 10 or 12 ingredients. It's crazy. And we wouldn't leave out a single one. And so when we made the decision, we're always going to be science first, and that's one of the WeNatal differences. We put together the formula, we figured out the Tetris form of what would figure out, and then we pulled off of market. We had to print new pouches. It was a big loss. We basically took them. We took them ourselves. We gifted it to friends and family. We donated some. It was still a top of the line supplement.
right.
And so it wasn't like we're pulling it off for any damaged reason other than that there's new research. We want to update. And so what I will say is this, I have a lot of friends who have VC backed companies. And would that be a popular decision in a VC company? I doubt it
Yeah.
because you're tanking tons of profit, tons to do the
Yeah.
right thing. And what we've also committed to, because we're now about to celebrate our fourth birthday and we have no VC
That's
money.
amazing, by the way, though. 4 years is not that long for,
Yeah.
I mean, what you all have done in 4 years is
We've
incredible.
supported over 30,000 parents to become parents or
Amazing.
like people to become parents. So, what I would say is that we were fortunate enough that we were the decision makers. We didn't have someone saying, well, that's not the margin is not good there, or you cannot like walk all this product and all that. We made the right decision
Yeah.
based in integrity and morals, and we continue to do so at WeNatal without the pressure of the margins. A lot of people in this economy with the tariffs, with this, everyone's talking about raising prices or changing quality, which might even be worse for a consumer. You might not know, but like your most favorite items, they might just be finding ways to make it cheaper.
Yeah.
And that's not us. We might like find a new box, something you're going to throw away, but we will not compromise the integrity of the supplement. And that is a blessing of not reporting into someone who only cares about the margins and profitability and like trying to flip a company overnight.
Yeah.
And so, but being first time entrepreneurs, you don't always trust your gut. So, in that situation, it was no question. We both said the research is there. Let's make it even better. And we did. And now we're 3.5 years in and people are loving it. But it's complicated. You have to explain to your customers, you have to not scare them and say what you were taking is bad. So, there was the whole complexity of that.
Right.
In our journey to becoming entrepreneurs, one of the first things you need for a product is a website. And it was probably the biggest spend we were going to make. And we interviewed I'd say 12 to 15 different amazing website agencies to find one that met our vibe, got our brand standards. And we fell in love with an agency and, they said all the right things and we were excited to move forward. And on that initial brand, the very first review of like what the homepage would look like, it was so far off, Brooke, that like it was hard to look at. And it was a gut punch. Roni and I both shared the same opinion, luckily, and we didn't know we didn't know where the disconnect was, but we also knew they didn't get it. But we had signed a big contract. We were in for tens of thousands of dollars, and we didn't feel like we can get out of it. So instead, we silenced our gut and pushed this rock uphill, meaning every design review was never our vision. Everything needed initial like
Mhm.
additional help. We had to get our creative director involved who was more we kept throwing more money and more issues when in hindsight. So by the way, we launched with the website and while we got there, it was not as functional as we wanted. It was not as consumer friendly as we wanted. We ended up paying for that website 3 times over because we ended up redoing it.
Yeah.
But I want to tell people, like, if I just trusted my gut, I could have gone out of the contract. I might have lost money, but I wouldn't have been pushing someone who didn't get our brand vision or our voice or our creative direction. Instead, I thought I was obligated. So I pushed uphill, and then you end up paying for it over and over again anyway. And so, one of the biggest lessons I try when I speak on these podcasts is trust your gut. It's strong. You know why you launched this thing, you know what you want your customers to experience. And if at any point you need to derail, it's worth it to do it then versus kind of just do what we did. And that's been a big lesson. And I still have to sometimes as women, I think especially, we are more a bit go with the flow and it's fine. And we don't want to rock the
Mhm.
boat. And me myself, I'm a people pleaser and I just like but sometimes I realize like my voice is powerful. And if I have a strong feeling, I need to find a nice way to bring it to the team, bring it to my business partner, like whatever it might be. It's important to go with your intuition.
Are there any practices that you have that's helped you connect with that voice more, the gut?
So, such a good question. I'd say it's the hardest thing for me, but anytime I could slow down. As founders and as moms, there is not 1 second of my day that's wasted. I am listening to podcasts and washing dishes. I am walking the kids to school and probably doing a work call. Like I am a queen of multitasking, probably to a fault. But from therapy, from friends and family, I realized that if I could like slow down, if I could take a walk without any phone or devices, if I can just pause, even my red light mask for 9 minutes, sometimes the
Mhm.
ideas come or my brain's able to slow down. And so it's not easy, but giving myself some breaks, like a sauna, it's like 5, 10 minutes. Also, you're stacking it with a wellness routine.
Right.
It's sometimes even like putting my kids to bed and I'll put my feet up and when they fall asleep, I have like a few minutes of silence to just think. I don't know, it's
Mm.
it's really pausing, but I don't get to it very often.
Yeah, what you described is something I call calm snacks.
I love
Taking
that
little
word.
calm
It's so
snacks
true.
throughout your day. And it's hard because, it's easy to go into the sauna and take your phone or
Totally.
even take a book. I mean, or go for a walk and listen to a podcast. Like, let me see if I can do a bunch of things while I do
Yep.
this. But
Yep.
it's actually something I've been trying to do more of as a new mom. I think it's more important than ever because you don't
Agreed.
get those brain breaks as often. So you have to intentionally work that into your day. So I love that. And it's just good reinforcement for
Yep.
all of us listening that taking a brain break to literally just do nothing. Like when you're on your walk, just go for the
Yeah.
walk. Let
I
your
got really
brain
totally.
just relax.
Totally. Sorry to cut you off. I got really good advice. I was doing work with a therapist when I was like corporate career burnout. It hit me hard. And two things he told me stuck with me is like doing nothing is something, which was mind blowing to me. Like it is doing something. It is giving your body a break. It's these calm snacks that you said. So we have to like kind of rewire our brains, especially myself. I always thought efficiency and my time is so valuable, but like doing nothing is doing something. And the first challenge he gave me was actually going on a walk without my phone. And I literally thought he was had two heads. I was like, wait,
Right.
what? But to your point, you have to intentionally, whether you time block it or the baby's napping and you're able to step away for a minute, but you have to give it to yourself because what that 5 minute does, it goes so much further in your day, in your productivity. I know it sounds cliche, but it's really true. When
It's
I give
counterintuitive,
exact
right? It's like the most productive thing you can do is actually to not do something.
exactly.
It's interesting because as I was sharing with you earlier about my postpartum journey with brain fog and focus, I had this moment when I dropped my little one off at daycare and I went to go get back in my car and I was trying to get into someone else's car. They left their door unlocked, which I think is a really good sign for for where I live in LA. And
Totally.
I literally like opened the door and then I was like, this isn't my car. And for me, that was a big whopping sign in my face that I'm doing too much. I need to slow down. Because for me, it's I'll see a client at 8 a.m. in the morning and then I'll take him to daycare and then I'll come back and see another. So it's like my
Yeah.
brain switching back and
Yeah.
forth. I'm sure you experience that when you're
Oh,
multitasking, right?
I literally got chills when you had the car example because we've all done something like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm holding my phone, asking everyone, "Where is my phone?" or your glasses on that. I mean, like it's scary sometimes, like
Yeah.
the things we do. And I've been there,
Yeah. But
but
it's helped me really start to hone in and get really intentional. Okay, I'm going to take a shower instead of putting on a podcast because I used to like to listen to podcasts in the shower. I'm just going to light a candle and let it be silent. And it's going to be maybe a 3 minute shower, but that's my 3 minutes of
Mhm.
mindfulness, of just giving my brain a break. And I've just had to really get intentional to help that focus. And another practice, something that I share a lot is essentially I'm trying to stop multitasking. Multitasking is doing everything at 30% versus
Yes,
one thing at 100. And so that's been a new practice. But it's to your point already. Taking these little breaks where you're just going for a walk, you're just letting your brain resets
yeah,
essentially. I mean, there's research and science behind why that works, like getting out in nature and just letting your eyes rest as you look at something that's green.
exactly.
It's good for your brain.
100%. I love what you said about the multitasking because I know it's not efficient. Like I know, to your point, you're peanut buttering yourself over everything. Did I really
Yeah.
hear what the podcast said? Did I really? And I noticed it from like infants. Have you ever seen when they're like melting down, you take them outside My little one was
Yes.
colicky, and the second I would take her outside, she would calm down. It's intuitive for them and us too, but we forget how much
Yeah.
just stepping into nature, even if it's just your backyard, can just quiet that voice and
Yeah.
nervous system. So, yeah, there's simple habits. And the other thing I love to tell people, it's not a one size fits all. So, if walking might work for me, maybe just laying in your bed might work for you. Or to your point, the shower, it's brilliant. Find that thing that's like therapeutic to you, because not everyone has access to a beach or maybe, trees in their backyard, but you might have something else, and you just listen, go back to the
Yeah.
intuition. What works for you?
Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Vida, that experience that you guys had in your business, because I think for women to hear, it's common for us to have these moments where we don't trust our intuition, and it just being able to tune in. And the more you trust your gut, the more you build that trust, right?
Agree.
So it's almost like a muscle. So in the beginning, it's almost like you got to just flex the muscle, do your reps.
100%.
Right. It,
And
it feels uncomfortable. Like you said, the people pleaser comes out and you're like, this feels unsafe. Like
yeah,
this doesn't feel right, but it is safe.
completely agree.
Okay. So going back to when you and Ronit came up with this idea when you were at Nike,
Yeah.
how long from the time that you came up with this idea to let's quit our jobs and go all in on this? Tell us about that leap and what that
Great
was
question.
like.
Yeah, and it was very different for the two of us, and I'll explain the pros and cons. So, Roni has been working for Dr. Mark Hyman. I'm still in my corporate career. We have this idea. We start working nights, weekends. I told you we had kids at home. We had one kid at home each, and we were trying for a second. And so it became a passion project. We started building decks. We started doing research. We started building who we wanted to advise us, like the Dr. Hymans of the world. Once we were onto something with the research, the formulation, Ronit actually left Dr. Hyman's full-time job, and this became her job. And I was doing it nights and weekends with her. She was able then to assemble the most amazing medical board because Dr. Hyman joined, and he brought on some amazing folks. She was making no money for a very long time. So that's like the pros and cons. I wasn't able to leave my job because I was like more of the steady paycheck in our household. I was the insurance and the benefits. And so what ended up happening on my end is I was like killing myself. I was literally with
Mm.
kids or nights, weekends. There was not 1 hour of the day that I wasn't
Yeah.
working on one or the other. And so we came to launch, and she started taking like barely any money. Like literally, she was living paycheck to paycheck as a founder, which I'm sure many people can attest to. We had poured our own money into this brand. And she started helping run the company. We started to work with talented freelancers. Obviously, we didn't have the budget for anyone full time. So all of our teammates also had side hustles, and they were doing WeNatal on the side. Well, it wasn't until last year that I left full time. And so that just shows you like I couldn't be a burden to the company financially until I knew we had some grounding. And without big VC dollars, there's a pro and con. You could leave right away and make no money. And like she wasn't able to like kind of live the life she wanted, but it was a sacrifice to get this baby on the ground. And I was sacrificing time, energy, and not, also doing the things I wanted because I was dedicating any hour I had to this.
Yeah.
So we took two very different approaches. I did it on the side for 3 years, and most recently last year just left. And she did it full time, and we kind of always had this amazing partnership. We like to do the things the other one doesn't like to do. So where I
Mm.
lean much heavier into, it's interesting because we both came from the marketing side and business, but she gravitates much more to the creative and all that. And I'm much more operational and HR and legal. And like my brain is just like stretching in so many new ways that I never got to use at Nike. So one, found co-founders that like, we like to do the opposite. So that works. And then we grew slowly. Some people get off the ground with VC money and they're able to have CEOs and skyrocket their business. And that's just a path we chose because of, I mentioned the integrity and us wanting to really own what goes into it and not have,
Yeah.
I was in corporate for 20 years, so it's quite nice to now not have
Yeah.
bosses to report into and being able to do what we want. If we want to host a big party and that it has no ROI, we can do that. And we love
Right.
actually doing that. And we love bringing amazing women together. We love bringing doctors together. We love really community. And so it's been a blessing, but we took two very different paths on how we
It's actually interesting though, because you can see how both paths work for both people in different ways. And it really is personal and how much risk you're willing to take on in your, like, what feels good for your nervous system
exactly.
and also what's right for your family, right?
Totally.
Obviously, you take all that into account.
And if anyone is starting a business, you just need to make sure that, like, I actually have two friends who had an amazing business and recently, sadly, had to close it because between their salaries, and they had VC money, their salaries and the salaries of the doctors and the other things in the practice, they couldn't sustain and they couldn't become profitable. So I'd ask you, like, there are pros and cons. I think everyone would love to make a nice salary off the get-go, but it's important to sacrifice to ensure you grow it sustainably, profitably, because even if you want VC money, they want to see you be profitable.
Right.
And so it is important to take, the necessary risks off the table and do what you can to survive without being too much of a burden on the company. I think that's some of the best advice
Yeah.
we got.
Yeah. Yeah, that's well, and what is it? What do they say? It takes like 3 years usually, right, for a company to really start turning a profit. So if you know how you can make that work for you is, I mean, you got to expect at least those first 3 years, waiting for that swell, keeping the corporate job, building it, and waiting for that swell when the
Exactly.
timing works.
Correct.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I am a woman who is 40 with a 19-month-old. So I like to speak to that population who's waiting to have children. And I know that a lot of times I hear from women, I hear from clients that aren't ready now, but they're thinking about it and they're worrying, like if I wait too long or I haven't met my person yet. What do you want those women to know about fertility?
The first thing I want them to know is that, I was called geriatric. Now I think it's called advanced maternal age. These words are toxic, like literally need to be thrown in the trash the same way the plastics in your kitchen do. It is not serving us. And in fact, research is showing more women are having kids in their 40s than their 20s. So it's time for us to flip the narrative. The same with one, it's not just about you, it's about the partner as well. And I want you to feel empowered with the fact that, like, first of all, your biological age and your chronological could be two very different things. There's things like function and 100 health and all these things that can show you. I recently did and saw that I'm 13 years younger biologically. So if you're taking
Amazing.
care of yourself, it's not just a number. It's not just about your age, and the system led us to believe that. I can't even tell you how many amazing stories I've had of people well into their 40s who are told they have no choice, or IVF is their only choice, or they have unexplained infertility, who found WeNatal, which is not just a supplement. It's about lifestyle changes, nutrition, removing toxic stuff from your household, your kitchen, your bathroom, making those slow micro changes and having healthy children when they were told they have no options. And
Mm,
so, what I want to tell you is we built this brand on the hope that we weren't given, on the research that wasn't shared with us. And it is such a great time to have careers and have kids later in life. And in fact, I want to change it to, like, it's a pro. Like, I was able to have an amazing career. And now I have so much more patience and wisdom for my kids. Ronit had her healthy child after a miscarriage at age 42, naturally, on her first try. And we have so many amazing success stories. So the first thing I want to say is don't let the system tell you you're old. It doesn't serve you, like taking those phrases in one ear, out the other, and empower yourself with the things that are in your control. Your health, your partner's health. If you're freezing your eggs, treat it the same way you would have with a pregnancy, which means 3 months of great prep. I have so many friends who rushed to freeze their eggs and didn't do anything, didn't clean up their
mm,
lifestyle, and I'm like, those are the eggs that are going to be the kids. It's like you're getting pregnant, like take the time. And one thing that we're very passionate about sharing is this time that Dr. Demiri is a dear friend. She coined the term trimester zero, which is the 3 months before you're trying to conceive for both partners. That is your golden window of opportunity to make the lifestyle changes, to get healthier, get more movement, get more sunlight, go back to the basics. Prioritizing sleep. No one talks about that. Is the number one thing I recommend for people in their fertility journey. Actually getting good quality sleep, stop doom scrolling, get an Oura ring, find out what works for you because sleep is the main time your body repairs and makes sense of everything that happened during the day. And so It's really
Woo. By
not.
the way, I wanted to do somersaults.
Oh, I love you
I'm
because it's
like,
not
yes.
about, yes, I'm obviously into the biohacking
Yeah.
stuff like you are. I really want to go try out this Vemi bed and the Immortal Chamber, all the things. But if you had $1 to spend, I'd say buy nutritious foods, then buy the supplements, then just invest in movement, sunlight. It is not about like, I have to do every biohacking thing in the world and ice baths and cold plunges. It's actually not about that. All the research is showing that it's about good nutrition, good sleep, movement. You were sitting too long, we're indoors too long. So just go back to some of the basics and micro acts of change in your home. If you run out of skincare items, try to find a cleaner option. If you scrape up your pan, get a non-toxic pan. It doesn't mean throwing out everything in your house at the same time, because that also is very
Yeah.
overwhelming. And already having kids, a little later in life is overwhelming because you feel like you're out of options when you're not. And
Yeah.
so it's about the micro changes that you want to make anyways when you want to welcome a baby into the home. It's cleaner laundry detergent. It's an air filter in your home. It's bringing in plants, a good water filter. We have a free guide, by the way, wenatal.com/guide. It's
Great.
easy conception changes tips that you could do in this trimester zero phase. And most of them I've mentioned. So I don't want anyone to feel overwhelmed. I want you to feel empowered that there's so much within your control. And while I cannot always control the air that we're breathing in Los Angeles, we know it's pretty toxic. It is
Hmm.
what it is. And by the way, our body has an amazing ability to vet toxins, and we eat processed foods and we do the things
I actually
that
love that balance, right? Is just keeping it in balance because it is overwhelming. Like that Netflix documentary that just came out about
oh yeah.
detoxing plastic, which is so fascinating. But I did watch half of it and then I had to turn it off because
Yep.
I was like, I'm going to start panicking
Yeah,
about the things that I hadn't already thought. I thought I'd already thought of everything. And
totally.
like we're
And
getting,
even things positive, like an Oura ring, I had to take a break
yeah.
from my Oura ring because the stats were actually
Yep.
messing me up. They were like, I thought I had a good night of sleep, and then it would
Yeah.
give me a low score, and I'd be like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I'd say education is powerful, but you know what you can handle, what you can't. And at any point it becomes overwhelming, like you, Brooke, you turn it off. The stress of wellness is worse than the actual eating the thing or having the plastic. So I always say 80/20 rule. Even our top doctors and nutritionists, they're like, eat clean at home, but
Yeah.
enjoy meals out. Do the things that bring you joy. If that bag of potato chips with a glass of wine is life for you, enjoy it. Don't
Yeah.
do it all the time. Don't do it every day. Like give yourself the freedom to have
Yeah.
a little bit of that, because that will go a long way. And by the way, we were talking about our nervous system before we started recording.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing, being in balance in your own body. And again, we only feel when we're on balance when we pause, when we actually stop for a minute. We're like, oh, like I'm forgetting things I normally wouldn't forget. I'm getting in
Yeah.
cars that are not mine, like whatever it might be. I found it scary when like little Ronit would ask me something that happened yesterday and I couldn't even remember.
Right.
So go inwards on those situations and try to just be your best self. That's what you need to know. Whatever age you're having kids, get both partners on board, do some of the basics and back to the
Let go of 50% of it. Put
correct,
down 50% of the weight.
correct.
I think
And
that's like the biggest message too that I'm hearing. It's like,
100%.
it's not only you carrying this.
And it's not everything's in your control. Just do the things that you can
Hmm.
control. But also, like why we created the protein powder, because wellness is becoming increasingly stressful and not everyone could stomach pills. So we actually came out with protein, collagen, and your full prenatal in one scoop. So we're trying to make life easier. And most brands are trying to fearmonger you into their brands, right? We see all those,
Right.
the one thing that in your fridge that could kill you, and like we're clicking on it. It's clickbait and it
Yeah.
works. I click on it. But the reality is, like, do the research yourself. Don't buy WeNatal because I'm telling you, actually look at the labels, learn how to read labels, learn what brands have integrity behind it and don't, even in your everyday foods and what you're consuming. And that's what we should feel empowered with, that there is so much within our control.
Actually, I have to highlight here the protein powder because we were talking about this before I hit record. So I want to make sure everybody listening knows about this. So WeNatal has just recently launched, right? This is your
Yep.
newest product.
Yes, it is.
A protein powder that is a entirely clean formula. It's got monk fruit, right, is the sweetener, which
Correct.
I love. And it also includes their prenatal vitamins and collagen. So if you're somebody like me, I always have 5 drinks in the morning. do. I've got my chlorophyll with lemon water. Then I have my coffee with MCT oil, collagen, and then I have my protein, my smoothie, and like a million things that I'm
I
making.
love
And then
it.
I got to take all my supplements, which, as I'm sure you can imagine, also have a 19-month-old. So some of that stuff gets skipped. I
Totally.
forget to take my vitamins. Well, this protein powder has just taken three of those things and combined them into one, which seems like such a small shift, but it's those little things you were saying, like an athlete,
Yes.
if you shave a little bit of
Mhm.
fabric off of their suit, whatever, it's the difference between a silver and a gold. I love that metaphor, actually,
Aw.
how it all comes full circle. So these little things that you're doing to actually make it not so overwhelming and easy to adopt. And one other point that you made earlier that we kind of went over really quickly that I think a lot of women don't know is it the 3-month rule.
Yeah.
It does make it feel a little more feasible when it's like, okay, you don't have to change all of this for a year or 2 years. But if you think about it as just 3 months of practicing these little tweaks, and then the next, 3 months from now, it becomes a habit. So,
Totally. I love that. And 50% of pregnancies are unplanned. So always good to build those nutrient reserves just in case. My good friend, I just went to see her. She's also our pediatric dentist, and she has three kids. The youngest one's 7, and she had an accidental fourth. She's 5 months pregnant with her fourth. My
no
point
way.
is, build those nutrient reserves. It's good for your overall health, and you never know when it's coming. And Brooke, you're doing all the things. So yes, your chronological age might say you're 40, but like the reality is you're
Yeah.
probably in your young 30s, and that's the empowerment we should approach
Yeah.
fertility with. I'm
This
doing
is,
the right things, and some 20-year-olds might not even be as healthy as me. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
we should be empowered with our choices are really making change inside our cellular health.
Yeah. And actually, I know we're probably running out of time here because I know you have a million other things to do, but I
Oh,
do kind of
good.
want to dive a little bit for just one more moment into the age thing because I didn't realize this until I had a baby and started to meet other moms who are in their 40s. And now we're eventually probably going to have a second. But I felt this incredible pressure. Like after my son was born, I didn't feel ready at all. And I thought that I needed to do it fast because I'm 40. And it's like, well, now or never, TikTok, right? That's the
That's
messaging
the message.
I've
Yep.
been getting my entire life from well meaning family members and culturally, right? And I finally made a decision. And I also think, too, just having met other mothers. I mean, there's a woman in our group who's 47 and accidentally got pregnant, has a healthy baby girl, right? So you start seeing
I want
examples.
everyone to hear that.
Yeah.
47.
Yeah. And
I
so
love
hearing and seeing those examples, I didn't realize the statistics though until you shared them that more women are having babies in their 40s. So,
time has changed. And listen, our family is well intentioned. I got the same pressure and I was like late 30s when I was having my kids. And they're
yeah.
well intentioned, but that's what they were taught, right?
Yeah.
Same as our OBGYNs. They aren't taught about nutrition. And so they say take a prenatal, they're all the same. But when you look at the research, there you need to do your own advocacy work and know your own body. Like your family's well intentioned. They want the best for you. They were told that you should basically jump off a cliff at 40. It's not true. They actually tell you 35. You're considered advanced maternal age after 35. Who
Yeah.
is having kids before 35? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Like, I'm joking, but you shouldn't feel one way or another, regardless of your age. It's one factor. There are so many other factors. The man's age, the man's sperm quality, men's sperm and women's egg have an ability in those 3 months to dramatically improve the quality for both of them. Women are not stuck with the eggs they have. Their number gradually decreases, but the quality could be improved. And to your point, your friend was probably taking good care of herself. And at 47, her body was still able to do it. And I've heard multiple of these at WeNatal. And so also the stress of thinking you can't can change your physiology, and that's why we're probably the only supplement brand that has a journal. When you subscribe together, we have a beautiful manifestation journal to support you and actually put gratitude and joy back in the trying to have a baby process. It shouldn't just be so like stressed and sad.
Yes. Can you actually touch on that, how stress impacts fertility? Because I do think that that's a big, and in this industry, look, it's amazing that we have IVF. It's amazing that we have support like that for women. But also, do you find
Agreed.
that they
Yes.
also can so quickly go to the IVF route? It's
Yes.
like,
Yes, it's a controversial topic. I want to start by saying the same thing as you. I am so grateful for assisted reproductive technologies. It is truly one of the most amazing advancements to help everyone have a family. However, the things I'm going to recommend to you will help you no matter what route you take, whether you want to do it naturally, IUI, IVF. IVF is not a sure thing. It's a fact, it only has a success rate of about 30%. So don't you both want to put your best foot forward to ensure that it works if you choose that route? And so what I'm telling you is that many people aren't educated that they can improve their egg and sperm quality. Maybe they feel like you, time is ticking. I should just do it tomorrow because I'm going to be one day older, the next day.
Yeah.
It's actually age is one indication, but there's so many more things at play. So don't rush. Take the 3 months, which is might be controversial to some, but we've seen the outcomes. We've seen how stress used to be woo-woo and gratitude. Now there's research that it actually changes your physiology. And so at the very basic terms, I was in a corporate career for 20 years. I was high stress every day. The doctor explained it to me. He's like, literally, your blood is going to your limbs as if you're being chased by a bear. But what you're doing, you're sitting, you're stress eating, you're not using that energy, and you're like creating havoc in your body. So, one, if you are super stressed, movement helps. But the
Mm-hmm.
reality is, stress actually deprioritizes conception because the blood flow is actually going away from the reproductive organ. So, at the very basic level, you understand how stress does
Yeah.
not help, and how it affects
Yeah.
our body.
Yeah.
And so, why we said those beautiful, you call them calm snacks, are so important is because it combats that a little bit. But the research shows gratitude can improve your physiology and all these things. And I'll give you, if we had another hour, I will tell you examples. But I've had friends who were told they can't conceive. One had a surrogate, one adopted, two completely different groups of friends. Oh, by the way, the one that adopted and the one that got the surrogate then went on to have a baby naturally because they thought they couldn't. I can
Of
give you
course.
8 million of these examples, but that just shows you how much your mind and what you're being fed is playing into your body's ability to do what naturally should do. And
Yeah.
so, whenever the research becomes too much, hopefully it feels like empowerment, but know that you can do it. Having the faith, 3 minutes a day of gratitude, writing in this journal, really believing is what's going to help your body do what it knows how to do. But if you have this
Mm.
negative outlook, which I've had friends in those shoes, I've been in those shoes myself,
Mm-hmm.
your body is not in the state where it feels like it's safe. It's like war or famine. It doesn't prioritize conception because it feels unsafe. And that's like the easiest way to break it down. But
Yeah.
really, I want to empower everyone to know that you're not alone. There's so much you can do no matter what route you would like to have children. And there's no shame or judgment in any of them. They're all amazing. But whichever route you're going to take, just do a few months of work to get the best outcomes.
Oh, Vida, thank you so much. My last question was going to be, what is one mindset practice that you would recommend for this? But it sounds like the gratitude journal.
Gratitude.
Yeah.
It's changed my life. And actually, Lillian, a good dear friend who authored the journal, was one of the first people well before we launched WeNatal who would teach me my words are powerful. Because I would come to her house, how are you? And my immediate response would be like, I'm tired, or I'm stressed, or I have this deadline. And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. What words I was
Mm-hmm.
putting out was how I was feeling and would manifest itself through my life. And once this small shift of saying, like, I'm good, I'm great, I'm grateful for this cup of coffee, which on some days is the thing I'm most grateful for. It's one of my joys. Or, the sun is shining, even on days before I had kids where I felt woe was me and I had the miscarriage. Finding a little bit of gratitude in any small thing, it's a muscle and it will change your biochemistry. Mark my words. So finding the little things, even if it's sometimes the most basic or something that you enjoy, but being grateful and shifting your words that are so powerful can change your outcomes completely.
Oh, thank you so much, Vida. I have chills. I feel empowered. I'm like, all right, yes, let's go. Baby
And
number
Brooke,
two.
you're gonna have your segment, like your wellness routine in the morning says it all. You're probably in your young 30s and your next baby will come whenever you're ready.
Oh, thank you for your wisdom and for everything you shared today with the women listening. I'm going to drop a link below, wenatal.com/the calm edge. So you can go check out their products. Go get the protein powder.
I believe anyone who subscribes gets a free magnesium through your link.
Oh, there we
So,
go.
and the magnesium's a game changer. We talked about sleep, but
Hmm.
sleep and digestion, it's one of my favorite of our lineup. So check it
There
out.
you go. Learn how to calm an overactive mind and lead your life from grounded power. My one-on-one personalized hypno coaching experience is designed to help you rewire subconscious patterns so calm becomes your superpower. Click the link below to schedule a complimentary 30-minute consultation call and let's chat.